Yeah.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Ala's World of Finance and welcome to Stock Market Daily. So I'm actually really excited for this video. I got a lot of really cool things to talk about. So we're going to talk about the tech sell-off, basically ending now at this point. It kind of looks like it's pretty much ending. We're going to talk about some stock market manipulation going on with Nvidia, and that's going to be very interesting. We're also going to talk about some E3 stocks, Nintendo and Sony, and Nintendo actually announced some really cool things and I'm really excited about it. So I really want to talk to you guys about that. And then we'll also talk about the FAANG stocks. They kind of bounce back. I'll probably talk about that like right now though in a second. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. So when looking at the tech sell-off, this was the biggest back-to-back decline since December. And what basically happened was that the Nasdaq had a 2-day pullback of 2.31%. Okay, so pretty significant. Now, when we look at it today, the Dow is up 0.44%, the S&P 500 is up 0.45%, and then the Nasdaq is up 0.73%. So a nice little bounce back, and Nasdaq is leading the other two. Now, when looking at the individual sectors using the GIC standard, we can see that the technology sector is up 0.85%, so a nice bounce back from technology. And the biggest industry mover for that sector was comm equipment at 1.26%. And then I'll briefly mention financial and energy because we were talking about some rotation going on in a couple of my previous videos. So I'll just briefly mention those. Financial was up 0.44%, and the biggest industry mover in that sector was consumer finance at 0.64%. And then energy was up 0.66%. And their biggest industry mover in that sector was energy, equipment, and services at 0.82%. So basically technology led was ahead of financial and energy. Okay, so pretty much looks like the dip might be over now. I definitely picked up some stocks on the dip, and I'm wondering if you guys picked up any. Let me know. I know a few of you left comments about picking up some Nvidia. I think some of you picked up some AMD. I definitely picked up some AMD. I also picked up some Activision Blizzard and a few other stocks. But anyway, yeah, let me know if you guys picked up any. Now the FAANG stocks, those also bounced back, and they had like a pretty decent drop, but they bounced back. And Facebook is up 1.7% today. Amazon looks like it's the leader of all five of them, and they're up 1.72%. I actually had my girlfriend pick up some Amazon stock today, and she picked it up when it was basically at its lowest point, so she was able to already kind of be going up here. And Apple is up 1.02%, Netflix is up 1.18%, and then Google is up 1.01%. So a nice, just a little bit of a bounce back from FAANG. Hopefully that continues, but we'll see. All right, the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is Nvidia and if there's some kind of stock market manipulation going on. So this is really interesting, and it doesn't matter if you're bearish on Nvidia, bullish on Nvidia, it doesn't matter. I'm not telling you to buy it or sell it. The reason I want to talk about this is because, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of manipulation happens, and I see it a lot from analysts, in my opinion. And so we kind of have some evidence here, and I just want to go through it. So a lot of this has to do with, excuse me, a lot of this has to do with a Forbes article that I was reading today, and they basically released this article today, and they were interviewing Mike Durzan from Marketocracy, and they were talking about Citron Research. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Citron or Citron, something like that. And Citron Research, they're the ones that released that report on Friday, and that was when a lot of people think that this kind of caused the tech sell-off, that it might have snowballed into the tech sell-off because they had a bearish call on Nvidia. And so in this article, they were basically talking about, they didn't directly say it, but they were pretty much inferring, you could pretty much tell that what they were trying to say was that Citron Research was manipulating the stock market. So let's look at what happened. So this is what they were saying. So on December 27th of 2016, Nvidia stock was at $117. Okay, the next day, December 28, 2016, Citron released a report, and they had a price target of $90. So they were bearish on Nvidia stock and a price target of $90. Now that caused Nvidia stock to drop to $109. And in the following days, Nvidia stock was trading in the low 100s. So it was definitely a significant drop. Now in February 24th of 2017, so less than 2 months later, Citron basically announced that they were covering their short because Nvidia stock actually wasn't doing bad, and none of the things that Citron said would happen ended up happening. So basically Citron announced that they were covering their short, and a lot of people were angry because, you know, a lot of people panicked and sold when Citron told them that a price target of $90 was a fair price or whatever. And a lot of people sold and they got out, and Citron basically covered their short. And, you know, I'm sure that they definitely made money from that anyway, because, you know, they were shorting and they probably made some money from that. Now, what ended up happening later was on June 13th, so June 13th, so that's today. So right now Nvidia is trading at around $150, and they recently had a high of $168. So obviously none of the Citron things that they were predicting would happen, none of those really happened. Well, on June 9th, and why does that date sound familiar? Oh, that's right. June 9th was Friday when the tech sell-off started. Well, on June 9th, Citron reported a price target of $130. Okay, so they were wrong before and nothing happened and Nvidia stock went up. So what did they do? Well, they lowered the price target again. And that resulted in a 6.5% decline in Nvidia stock. And it was actually even more because intraday trading, it was even higher. But anyway, that's besides the point. The result was a 6.5% decline in Nvidia stock. And a lot of people believe that that triggered the whole tech sell-off. Well, now what a lot of investors are doing is that they're questioning Citron and they're basically thinking that, you know, they might have manipulated the market, because if you look at it from a rational point of view, Citron went from a $90 price target to a $130 price target. That's almost a 50% increase. And that's in less than 6 months. And in this report, they called Nvidia a casino stock. So someone who is really bearish on Nvidia stock, who calls it a casino stock, who basically causes everybody to panic and sell Nvidia stock, they increased the price target from $90 to $130, almost 50% in less than 6 months. Why would you do that if you're calling it a casino stock and you're really bearish on it? Well, basically, the people that benefit from this type of play is the analysts like Citron, who short sell and they benefit from it, and the people who suffer is investors like us who panic and we listen to them and we sell, and then Nvidia stock goes up and we lost money. So it's so funny how people will pay so much attention to analysts and live and die by analysts. I think it's important to listen to them and to take in all the information. I do it all the time, but I don't make all of my decisions based on analysts, because then you end up with situations like this where they basically trick you into selling. You know, they told everybody a price target of 90, then it went way up to 168, you know, in less than 6 months, and then they changed their price target and increased it, but then they're still calling it a casino stock. It's like, give me a break, man. These guys, they know what they're doing. They're not idiots. They know what they're doing. And in my opinion, that's manipulation. So if that's not manipulation, then I don't know what is. But in my opinion, that's kind of how I see it. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a rant. So anyway, I just thought you guys might find that interesting, and just take it however you will. It's totally fine. Everybody can have their own opinions, and that's completely fine. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is the E3 stocks. So Nintendo and Sony. Now Sony presented on Monday, and I was so happy about this because I mentioned that obviously I've mentioned that my biggest stock is Nintendo, and one of my biggest fears was that Sony was going to release a PlayStation 4 portable gaming console, and I was terrified of that because that would compete with the Nintendo Switch. So I was really hoping that they would not announce that, and thank goodness they did not announce it. So I was really happy when that event ended and they didn't announce it. I was really happy. And their whole performance wasn't that great, to be honest. Now, if you're a Sony fan or a PlayStation fan, you know, I feel for you. You know, I'm not trying to say anything negative about them, but a lot of reviews are coming out and they basically don't really think that Sony came out too great during the E3. They did talk about some games. They talked about Uncharted. They talked about another one called Days Gone. It's an open world zombie survival game. They talked about Shadow of the Colossus, an HD remake game. God of War should be released in early 2018. And then Spider-Man looks really cool, and that's going to be exclusive to PlayStation, and that'll be in 2018. But nothing, I don't know, at least just in my opinion, nothing really huge, no huge announcements. Now, Nintendo actually came out like swinging. They came out with a lot of great news. So a lot of reviewers are now saying that Nintendo won E3, that they basically outperformed Sony and Microsoft and Xbox. I don't know if I really feel that. Well, personally I do, but I guess I'm a little biased because I do have stock in Nintendo. But The best thing that happened was that they finally announced a core mainline RPG Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch. And I've said it before, I had huge expectations for Nintendo stock if that game comes out. Now, the thing is that that game is going to come out over 1 year. It could be over 1 year away. So it could be quite a while, but the Nintendo of Japan actually announced later that it would be in 2018. So it looks like it'll probably be at the end of 2018. So it's going to be a long while until that game comes out. But when that game comes out, I think it's going to sell like crazy. And I expect the Nintendo Switch to continue to sell like amazingly well all the way up to that point. But then once we get there, when Pokemon comes out for it, I think it'll just drive it up even more. And so I'll go ahead and say right now, my prediction, it's just my opinion, but my personal prediction, I do think that the Nintendo Switch will reach the Nintendo Wii numbers. And if that happens, you know, the Nintendo stock price was at around $78, almost $80 when they had the Nintendo Wii. If that happens, you know, you may be seeing a similar price target for the stock. That's just my opinion. Don't hold me to that, but you know, I'm just saying, you know, I'm basically just letting you know what I'm thinking. That's definitely my opinion. So I'm very bullish on Nintendo stock. Okay, I'm very bullish on it. And the thing is that now I'm kind of thinking that I might have to hold on to my Nintendo stock longer than I wanted to. I was hoping that Pokemon would come out sooner and then I could sell the stock and take a lot of profits, but it's not going to come out until late 2018. So I may be holding on to Nintendo stock, maybe even all the way into 2019. And waiting for all of those sales to come through of the Pokemon game and the Nintendo Switch, and that to really drive up the stock a lot. So anyway, so it's going to be a long-term investment, I think. Now, they also announced some other games, Kirby, Yoshi. They announced Rocket League, which is a third-party game, and that's going to have cross-compatibility with, I believe, Xbox and PC. So that's a big deal. And they announced some Mario Rabbids game. They announced Metroid for the 3DS. And they announced Metroid Prime 4 for the Switch, which a lot of people were asking for. So that's a huge deal also. Now, a couple negatives. They didn't announce a virtual console, and they didn't announce Super Smash Bros. And that could affect the stock in a negative way. But in my opinion, I think it might actually be a good thing because we have a lot of good announcements coming from Nintendo right now that I think it might be better to kind of spread that out so that people don't get bored of Nintendo. That way, if sales start to take a dip or whatever, they can come out and announce Virtual Console, Smash Brothers, whatever the case may be, and then that should just kind of drive up the sales up again and the stock with it. Okay, so I really, really like everything that's happening with Nintendo. I'm still very bullish on Nintendo stock. And then the stock, it went up 1.6% today. It was at one point, it actually went up almost 3%, but then it kind of dropped back down to 1.6. But I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a long-term investment. I don't pay attention to the day-to-day stuff with Nintendo, at least not with Nintendo. With Nintendo, it's more of a longer term, especially with what's going on with Pokemon. Anyway, okay guys, that's about it. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'll just mention really quick again, the whole Nvidia thing is just my opinion. I'm not trying to sound negative or call anybody out. It's just my opinion. And I found it interesting. I thought you guys might find it interesting too. So if you're new, please subscribe because I actually have a lot of videos coming up where I'm going to be reviewing stocks again. So I'll be having some of those coming out. And if you like the video, hit the like button. And if you watch the video all the way to this very point in time, then you are Nintendo. And man, you came out swinging at E3. You guys, you're dangerous. I got to keep my eye on you. So, all right. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, beautiful day and take care.